G'day, I'm Dave Cummins from Future Property Group, and welcome to the Future of Sustainable Development, the podcast where we explore the ideas shaping tomorrow's built environment. Today, we're exploring the importance of evidence-based research for the property sector. What is it, why it's important, and how to embrace it? Evidence-based research is exactly what it sounds, making decisions in property based on real data, measured outcomes, and proven results, not assumptions, gut feelings, or outdated habits. It's asking not just what can we build, but what should we build and what is the evidence we have to support this? In healthcare, evidence-based practice is the gold standard. Doctors don't prescribe treatments because they feel right. They rely on clinical trials, systematic reviews, and peer-reviewed studies. In education, evidence shows us how children learn best, so classrooms can be designed to match. And in property, evidence is the bridge between design theory and human experience, between sustainability targets and actual outcomes. The history of evidence-based design in property development is uneven. For centuries, we have been building based on traditional or trial and error. Ancient Greeks aligned temples for daylight. Persians designed wind catchers for passive cooling. But systematic evidence didn't enter properly until the late 20th century, when fields like building science, environmental psychology, and sustainable engineering began publishing rigorous data. One landmark moment came in 1984, when Roger Ehrlich's study in Science Journal showed that post-surgery patients with a view of trees recovered 8.5% faster and needed less pain medication than those facing a blank wall. That single piece of evidence transformed how hospitals were designed. Later research showed that students in a classroom with abundance of natural light progressed 20 to 26% faster in reading and maths. The University of Salford's head project confirmed that over 3,500 students in classroom design, light, air, quality, and acoustics boosted learning outcomes by over 16%. So what are the benefits of evidence-based research for the property sector? First, better health. The Lancet Planetary Health reviewed over 140 studies covering 290 million people and found that everyday access to green spaces lowered risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, stress, and premature death. Environmental Health Perspectives Journal found that people living within 300 meters of green space had significantly lower levels of depression and anxiety. That's design informed by data, literally saving lives. Second, better performance. The Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that improving indoor air quality boosted cognitive performance by 61% and decision-making by 101%. The Journal of Environmental Psychology showed employees working with access to daylight and greenery had 15% higher cognitive scores and significantly lower stress. Research in economics of biophilia calculated that biophilic workplaces reduce absenteeism by 35% and increase productivity by 20%. Imagine what happened when that kind of evidence became standard practice in the office we design today. Third, strong economics. The Journal of Sustainable Real Estate reported that green certified buildings rent for 3% more and sell for 16% more than conventional ones. CBRE research found occupancy rates in these buildings are 3 to 6% higher. Deloitte Consumer Insights found that 75% of Australians are willing to pay more for sustainable homes. Evidence doesn't just make buildings healthier, it makes them more valuable. So why don't we embrace evidence more fully in property? One reason is cost perception. Developers often focus on upfront expenses rather than life cycle savings, even though studies in research, building research and information show that energy efficient designs cut operational costs dramatically over time. Another is inertia. The construction industry is one of the least innovative sectors globally, according to the World Economic Forum, and many developers still measure success in square meters delivered, not in human well-being achieved. There's also fragmentation. Researchers publish findings in journals, but they rarely trickle down into design briefs or council approvals. A school might be designed without daylight, even though evidence proves it helps children learn faster, simply because evidence wasn't part of the conversation. Resistance often also comes in vested interest. If buildings are designed to use less energy or water, industries that sell energy and water see lower profits. Evidence-based design disrupts business model buildings on inefficiency. And finally, there's culture. Glossy architecture magazines still celebrate the wow factor of shiny towers more than the quiet, data-driven excellence of healthy, low-carbon buildings. But there are examples showing the tide is turning. In Australia, Melbourne's Council House 2 was designed with evidence-based strategies like natural ventilation, thermal mass, and shading. Post-occupancy studies published in Building Research and Information confirmed a 50% reduction in energy use compared to conventional offices. The Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne integrated gardens, natural light, and play spaces, drawing on evidence from Healthy Environments Design and Built Journal. That such feature reduced stress and improved recovery. Globally, Seattle's Built Centre operates as a living building, producing more energy than it consumes, harvesting rainwater and using red list-free materials. Evidence gathered from its first years of operation in energy and building show that real-world path to net positive performance. And in Singapore, Marina One integrates sky gardens and cross-ventilation based on climate data, lowering its cooling demands in the tropics. So how do we embrace more evidence-based design in the property sector? First, as identified in Positive Development Journal, fewer than 10% of buildings are ever evaluated after occupation. Without measurement, we don't learn. Post-occupancy evaluation should be as standard as structural certification, measuring air quality, energy use, biodiversity, and occupant well-being. Second, embedded evidence into policy. If we know daylight improves learning, schools should be required to provide it. If we know green spaces reduces disease, planning codes should mandate it. Third, connect research to practice. Architects, developers, and policymakers must have access to the evidence in formats that they can use, not just academic papers behind paywalls. Fourth, finance that works. Green bonds, sustainability-linked loans, and government incentives should reward designs with proven outcomes. What needs to change? We need a cultural shift in how we define success. Instead of rewarding the cheapest building, we must reward the healthiest, we must reward the most efficient and the most sustainable. Instead of measuring cost per square meters, we must measure learning outcomes, health benefits, and carbon reductions. Evidence-based research gives us the metrics. We just have to use them. And what would occur if the built environment was more evidence-based? We would see hospitals where patients recover faster with less medication, schools where children learn faster and achieve more, and workplaces where employees thrive. Cities that are cleaner with air and lower emissions, and property markets where sustainability assets can command high rents and values. The Lancet Planetary Health Journal has already shown that exposure to green spaces improves population health outcomes. Harvard has shown that healthier buildings unlock higher cognitive performance, and CBRE has shown that sustainable assets outperform financially. Combine all of this and the picture is clear. Evidence-based design is not an optional extra, it is the future of property. The take-home message is this: the answers are already here. The journals, the studies, the post-occupancy evaluations, the global examples, they all tell the same story. Evidence-based design is how we stop guessing and start knowing. It's how we design with confidence, not compromise. It's how we align human health, planetary health, and financial health so that everyone wins. Because when we embrace evidence, we move from building what is easy to building what is right. We prove that building isn't about building bigger, it's about building better. And we remind ourselves that the property sector, as in medicine, education, and science, are literally shaping what we design. Evidence is not the obstacle, it is the map, and it's time we follow it. Thanks for tuning in to the future of sustainable development. Join us next time as we uncover fresh research, new innovations, and better practices for building smarter, greener, and more resilient buildings. Until then, let's continue to build places that heal the land and empower communities for tomorrow.